Hey, it's Coach Justin from Ultimate Baseball Training, and today we're talking all about bat speed. I'm going to share with you a few simple things that if you focus on them will quickly increase your bat speed and your power. It's not, a workout program that might take 8 to 12 weeks before you actually see results. These things can increase your bat speed and power very, very rapidly. But that being said, they're not a miracle pill, right? You actually need to put in the work, but if you do, and if you consciously focus on these things that I'm going to share with you in practice, you're going to see improvements in your bat speed and power sooner rather than later. So let's jump into it. So when it comes to bat speed, I think the very first thing that you need to focus on is intent. And this is before you fix anything with your mechanics. It's before you get on a crazy workout program to try to, get bigger and faster and stronger. Those things are great. You should fix your swing. You should be in the weight room getting bigger, faster, and stronger. But the first piece is the mental piece, and that is the intent, all right? And, let's face it, everyone is looking for the most results with the least amount of work, really, in every area of your life, right? I mean, people that want to lose weight, they would ideally love to be able to take a pill to lose weight, right? Everyone, it's just human nature. You want the most bang for your buck. You want the most results for the least amount of effort. There's nothing wrong with you. That's just the way that humans are. And so when it comes to bat speed, I think that magic pill, if there is one, the very first thing you need to focus on is that intent, okay? Because this is something, the rest of what we're going to talk about, it's going to take a lot of reps to really kind of get the hang of, right? But with intent, this is something that literally can transform your bat speed several miles per hour overnight. So I highly encourage you focus on intent before working on anything else, all right? But with intent, I think it's kind of twofold, okay? Number one, what I mean by intent is when you walk up to the plate, whether it's your very first at bat of the day, whether it's your sixth at bat of the day, right? Whether it's your eighth at bat, you're playing a doubleheader, right? And it's your eighth at bat of the day. When you actually step foot in the batter's box, okay, are you ready to hit? Are you truly ready to, when you step in, let's say it's a fresh count, are you ready that first pitch, if it's a pitch that you're looking for, are you ready to take a swing or not really? Are you kind of having a passive mentality? You might take a pitch, you might see a pitch, right? So are you ready to go? And it can be the first pitch of the at-bat, it can be the 12th pitch of the at-bat. But what you'll notice with big league hitters, the guys that do it at the highest level, is every single time they step in the box, no matter what the count is, no matter what the situation is, right? Are there times when when it's necessary to maybe take a pitch? Sure, but the majority of the time, when these hitters step in, they're in attack mode. They're aggressive at the plate, right? They're not trying to step in the batter's box and see pitches. They're not up here trying to, look for walks. They're trying to get a base hit. They're trying to drive in runs. They're trying to hit the ball hard somewhere, right? And so that's why you'll see with professional hitters, their takes are very, very aggressive. Let's say it's a borderline pitch and it's a ball, it's a little outside, right? So they go into their load and their stride, and they have this good, aggressive yes mentality, and then at the last second, they kind of hold up, but you'll see them, their takes are very aggressive. Their takes are not just like some younger hitters, it looks like they're taking the entire time, whereas professional hitters, right, their takes are almost always aggressive, and they really have to put the brakes on and hold themselves back. So that's number one with intent, all right? I want you to think about, when you step in the box, are you truly ready to hit, okay? And the second piece of intent is, what are you trying to do to the baseball? Are you just trying to swing the bat? Are you just trying to put the ball in play? Are you just trying to make contact? Or are you trying to hammer the baseball? Are you trying to pound it? Okay, so that's the second piece of intent. You have to step in the batter's box, number one, with the mindset of, this particular pitch I'm swinging, so that'll get you in the right frame of mind. That'll get you that yes mentality instead of being passive in the box. But after that, you have to keep your body nice and physically loose and relaxed, okay? You can't get super tense up your muscles, tense up your grip, squeeze the sawdust out of the bat. You can't do that. You have to stay physically loose, but mentally, you got to be locked in. You got to be ready to go. You got to be having a mindset of, you're not just trying to put the ball in play or, get a base hit. You're trying to drive the ball. You're trying to crush the ball. You're trying to crush doubles and triples into the gaps and line drives, screaming home runs over the fence. That has to be the mentality. So once we've got the intent piece dialed in, the next thing that's very important when it comes to bat speed that I want to touch on is stride length. You want to ensure that you're getting the proper stride length, okay? And I want to start out by saying that not every single hitter out there is going to stand the same way when they're preparing to hit. In other words, their stance, right? And a great example is Cody Bellinger. You look at him, before the pitch is thrown, before he goes into his load and stride and everything, and his feet are very, very narrow, okay? But when he does go into his load and his stride and his front foot hits the ground, he gets to a really good stride length. In fact, all great hitters, especially, you know, hitters that do it at the highest level and powerful hitters with lots of bat speed, they all get to a really solid stride length. And I think that this is a missing link, a missing component with a lot of younger hitters. And I'm gonna explain what I mean by that, okay? So I don't care how you start. If your feet are right next to each other, or if you start with more of a, you know, shoulder width, traditional type stance, I would say this is, you know, more common than having your feet really narrow, but it doesn't matter how you start. What I want you to pay attention to is the distance between your feet, your stride length, when that front foot hits the ground. So, you know, you're up here, right? The pitcher's getting set and he goes through his motion. He delivers the pitch to the plate and you load and you stride. And at this point here, when your front foot lands and you get to your launch position, what is the distance in between your feet? And what I see with a lot of younger hitters is they don't stride very far. I'm over exaggerating here, but the distance between their feet is very, very narrow. And so I want you to try this at home, okay? Just stand there. You don't even have to pretend to get in a baseball stance. Just stand there, right? And stride like you're striding towards the pitcher, and just stride a couple inches, okay? And you can do it with a bat in your hands if you want, but stride just a couple inches. And I want you to feel, do you feel like your lower half, your legs, do you feel like they're engaged in this position here? If you just stride this far, do you feel like your legs are engaged? No, probably not, right? It almost feels like if you were gonna take a baseball swing that way, at this point, pretty much all you have is your upper body to throw at the ball, okay? On the flip side, I want you to over-exaggerate this, okay? Be standing here, and then all of a sudden take a big stride. And you're definitely immediately gonna feel your legs are more engaged, right? You've sunk down into your legs more, okay? And so that should tell you something. Why is the traditional athletic stance, whether you're playing basketball, you know, defense in basketball or linebacker or whatever, why is the traditional stance with your feet a little bit wider than shoulder width? Why is it not like this, right? Because you're not balanced here and you don't have any power there. You're not using your lower body there. And so I just want to encourage you to make sure that you're getting proper stride length, because if you are striding too short like this, all you have is to throw your hands at the ball. That's not going to produce a lot of bat speed and power. What you want to do is you want to get your stride out to about, a great rule of thumb is the distance of your baseball bat. So one way to do it is put your baseball bat on the ground here, okay? And that should be for most hitters about the distance of their stride when they actually stride out, their front foot hits the ground. Okay, so that's a great way to do it, your baseball bat. Another thing to look at is just from your feet to your inseam and back down to your other foot and across, is there an equilateral triangle here? And if there is, that's good. That means you've got a really good launch position with your lower half, really good stride length. But what you want to avoid is, you know, having anything but an equilateral triangle. If one of these angles, you can clearly see the distance of my inseam here and then my stride length, it doesn't match up. So you want this to be an equilateral triangle, your stride length about the distance of your inseam or about the distance of your baseball bat. And what that's gonna do for you is it's gonna ensure that you really sink down into your legs. When you go into your load and your stride, you sink down into your legs, you're using your legs, because that's what we get power from. We don't get power from our, you know, our hands or our fingers or our wrists or forearms. Those are important in the swing, but your legs are a stronger group of muscles, right? So we need to use our legs if we want to maximize bat speed. All right, so now we've got your mind right, we've got your lower half right, let's get your upper body right, and let's talk about getting length in your front arm. So you've probably heard the analogy before, you know, separation is everything when it comes to bat speed. And you've probably heard the example of, you know, a rubber band. So if I had a rubber band in between my fingers here, obviously the further I stretch that rubber band, the more energy is going to be built up. All right, that makes sense. That's a great example. Another great example is a bow and arrow, right? So if I have a bow and arrow here and I pull it back, you know, 3 inches, there's not going to be much energy built up there. But if I pull this thing back all the way here, then it has more energy. So the same thing can be applied in the baseball swing. The more separation you can get between your upper body and your lower body, it's just like that rubber band or just like that bow and arrow, okay? So that, I'm sure that makes sense, right? So we want to get good separation. And one of the ways that you can tell if you're getting good separation or not is looking at your front arm. When you stride forward towards the pitcher and you get into your launch position, do you have length in your front arm? Let me show you what I mean by that. Okay, so I'm in my stance here, right? my hands start in this position here, okay? And when I load and I stride towards the pitcher, see how my arm has a little bit of length to it? It's not in here like this. It has length to it. And it's not completely, it's important to note, it's not completely locked out like this, okay? We don't want it locked out like this because that's gonna produce a long swing or probably gonna have an around the ball bat path. But you don't want your hands, it's fine if your hands start in here like this, but you don't wanna load and stride and your hands not really move and stay here like this, because again, you know, you can rotate a little, but you're basically throwing your hands at the ball. You wanna get good length here and separation between your lower half and your upper half, okay? And so how you get to that position, I think, is really important. What I always encourage hitters, or discourage hitters from doing rather, is you never want to push your hands back towards the backstop. Whenever you start trying to manipulate your swing and make it artificial where, you know, you load and you push your hands back, I mean, that clearly doesn't look very natural when I do that, right? But a lot of hitters, I'm over exaggerating here, but a lot of hitters try to load their hands and push their hands back. So there should be no pushing, okay? But I think it's a combination of really two things. Number one, you have to get the feeling of, as you're striding towards the pitcher, you're just walking away from your hands. Your hands are staying back here and your body's going this way, you're walking away from them. So a great way to, you know, kind of get this feeling is you can grab onto a fence, or, you know, you can grab a band, or grab even like a PVC pipe or a basketball goal, whatever, right? But have something where your hands are back here like this and you work on striding forward and you're essentially just walking away from your hands. And if you're holding on to something back here that allows your hands to not drift forward with you, you're gonna feel what that feels like, okay? So I think it's a combination of that that's gonna help you get to this really good front arm lengthened out position, still with a little flex, but lengthened out. And then another thing, it's kind of a combination of that, and then the last thing I wanted to touch on in this video, which is scap squeeze, okay? So almost, it has to be a combination of, I'm striding towards the pitcher and I'm keeping my hands back, all right? I'm walking away from my hands, but it's also, it's not just that, it's this little scap squeeze where, you know, a great way to almost do this automatically is if you think about almost showing your numbers to the pitcher. So when you go into your load and your stride, see how I'm showing the pitcher my numbers? I'm not overdoing it like this. I'm not wrapping myself up, but I'm also not having my shoulders start like this and just rock back and stride straight forward. There has to be a little bit of almost inward shoulder tilt like this, okay? So if you think about, I'm gonna walk away from my hands and I'm almost just gonna show, as I load and I stride, I'm gonna show the pitcher my numbers just ever so slightly. Look how here, now, when my front foot lands, automatically what that did, my front shoulder is slightly lower than my back shoulder, which is a great thing. This is all big league hitters, they get about 9 degrees of their front shoulder being lower than their back. And then obviously as they swing, it switches, right? But that gets you in a position where your front shoulder is slightly lower here. And it also, I mean, look, my shoulder is almost tucked in a little bit towards the plate. And so for you hitters that are struggling with pulling off the ball, that could be the reason why. You know, if you start with your shoulders like this and you basically just rock back and stride forward and your shoulder's not closed, well, at that point, it's kind of easy to pull your head and your shoulders off of the ball. But if you think about, I'm gonna walk away from my hands, right? And I'm gonna squeeze my scaps, or if you want another cue, think about maybe just showing your numbers ever so slightly towards the pitcher. See how that's gonna, almost with my elbow here, be like I'm pulling back a bow and arrow. So that's gonna be huge for your bat speed and power if you're not doing it already. So hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you did, hit that like button for me, I'd really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel and be sure it's gonna ask you, do you want your notifications on? Do you wanna be notified whenever we release new videos? Just hit yes, right? Because these videos are gonna take you and your game to the next level, right? And last thing, you'll see a link in the comment section. If you click on that link, you can watch this free on-demand hitting training that I put together for you. It's 100% free, so go ahead and do that right now. I really think it's gonna clarify and create some clarity with just exactly what you need to do to take your hitting to the next level. So go ahead and watch that right now. Thank you so much for tuning into today's video. We'll see you next time.